I am lying in a hospital bed right now. The pain in my abdomen is nothing compared to the ache in my chest. My phone buzzes. My wife is calling not to ask how I feel, but to know if I canceled a check. Brittany needs it for the florist. I look at the paper in my hand. Not a hospital bill. A divorce petition. 3 weeks ago, I thought I had a happy marriage. Today, I am about to destroy a wedding and walk away from everything. Before I tell you how I ended up here, I want to know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments. If you have ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted completely, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. The day I thought I was building a future with my wife, not realizing she was already planning to tear it apart. My name is Todd. I am 32 years old, and I work as a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing plant outside Columbus, Ohio. I have been married to Megan for 5 years. We met in college during our junior year. She was studying business administration. I was buried in engineering textbooks. We bumped into each other at the campus library, and something just clicked. Back then, Megan was different. She was careful with money, always thinking about the future. When we got married, we made a pact. We would build our finances together, brick by brick. No shortcuts, no reckless spending. We lived in a modest townhouse in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. I made about $75,000 a year. Megan worked as an administrative assistant, bringing in around $42,000. Together, we were comfortable. Not rich, but stable. And over 5 years of marriage, we built something I was incredibly proud of. An emergency fund. $28,000. That was our safety net. We agreed it would only be touched for true emergencies. Job loss. Medical crisis. Something life or death. Megan used to say those exact words to me. We will never touch this unless it is life or death, Todd. I believed her. Every single month, we sat down together to review our budget. I would look at that growing number and feel secure. I felt like I had a partner who shared my vision. We were even talking about having kids in a year or two. I imagined us in a bigger house someday with a yard for our children to play in. I thought I knew exactly where my life was headed. I thought I knew who my wife was. Then Brittany got engaged. Brittany is Megan's younger sister. She is 27, works part-time at a boutique, and has always been the golden child in her family. Everything about Brittany has to be perfect. Her clothes, her hair, her Instagram posts. And when she announced her engagement to Derek after only 8 months of dating, I knew things were about to get complicated. Derek sells cars at a dealership. His income is unpredictable at best. Neither he nor Brittany had any real savings. But that did not stop Brittany from planning her dream wedding. She wanted a luxury venue, a designer dress, catering that cost more than most people make in a month. The total budget she presented to her parents was $60,000. The problem was obvious. Brittany and Derek could not afford it. And Megan's parents, Linda and Gary, were not wealthy either. Gary had retired early due to health issues, and Linda worked part-time as a receptionist. They simply did not have that kind of money lying around. That is when the pressure started. I began noticing changes in Megan. She talked about Brittany's wedding constantly. She compared it to ours. Our wedding was so simple, she would say. Brittany deserves something special. I did not think much of it at first. Sisters talk, sisters compare. I figured it was harmless. But then I started catching fragments of phone calls. Megan would step into the other room, lowering her voice. One evening, I walked past the bedroom and heard her say, "I will figure something out, Mom. Do not worry." When I asked her about it, she brushed me off. "Just family stuff," she said. "Nothing important. I should have pushed harder. I should have demanded answers." But I trusted her. That was my mistake. It was a Tuesday evening about 3 weeks before Brittany's wedding, when my world tilted on its axis. I was sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone when I decided to check our bank account. Just routine. I opened the app and navigated to our emergency fund. The number on the screen made no sense. $847.23. I blinked. I refreshed the page. I closed the app and opened it again. The number did not change. I called the bank, my hands trembling as I waited on hold. The representative confirmed everything. 4 large withdrawals over the past 2 weeks, totaling $27,000, all authorized by Megan. I could not breathe. I sat there staring at my phone, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Had someone stolen our information? Had Megan been scammed? I called her immediately. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Hey, what is up?" Her voice was casual. Normal. "Megan," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What happened to our emergency fund?" Silence. A long, heavy silence. "I was going to tell you," she finally said. "Tell me what?" And then she explained. She had given the money to Brittany, for the venue deposit, for the wedding dress, for the catering down payment. $27,000 of our savings gone in 2 weeks. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. "That is our emergency fund," I said. "We agreed never to touch it." "It is an emergency," Megan replied. "Brittany's wedding is in 3 weeks. She had no other option." "What about asking me first? What about our agreement?" Her response cut deeper than any knife could. "I knew you would say no. That is why I did not ask." I stood in the middle of our living room, phone pressed to my ear, and realized I did not know this woman at all. It was not just about the money. It was about the betrayal, the secrecy, the complete disregard for everything we had built together. I told her we needed to get that money back, that Brittany needed to find another way. "The deposits are non-refundable," Megan said, "and Brittany would be devastated." In that moment, I understood something clearly. To my wife, her sister's feelings mattered more than our financial security, more than our future, more than me. That night, I slept on the couch, not because I was too angry to share a bed, but because I did not recognize the woman sleeping in it anymore. A week passed. The tension in our house was thick enough to cut with a knife. Megan acted like everything was fine. She threw herself into wedding preparations, spending every free moment with her mother and sister. Meanwhile, I walked around feeling hollow, betrayed, and completely alone. Then my body decided to remind me just how vulnerable I really was. It started with a dull ache in my lower right abdomen. At first, I blamed stress. I had not been eating well. I was barely sleeping. I figured my body was just reacting to the emotional turmoil. But the pain got worse. By the 3rd day, I had a low-grade fever. By the 5th day, I could barely stand up straight. One morning, I woke up drenched in sweat, the pain so intense that I could not even call out for help. Megan had already left for the day. She was meeting with the wedding florist. So I did what I had to do. I drove myself to the emergency room. The doctors ran tests. They poked and prodded. Then Dr. Patterson came in with a grim expression. "Mr. Todd, he said you have acute appendicitis. We need to operate within the next 24 to 48 hours. If we wait too long, your appendix could rupture." That would be life-threatening. I lay there processing his words. Surgery, hospital stay, recovery time. And then the financial reality hit me. I had health insurance through my employer, but my deductible was $4,000. On top of that, there would be medication costs, the hospital stay, and physical therapy. The out-of-pocket expenses could easily reach $6,000 to $8,000. I thought about our emergency fund, the one that was supposed to be there for exactly this situation, the one that now held less than $900. I picked up my phone and called Megan. She answered after several rings, her voice distracted. "Hey, I am kind of busy. What is it I need surgery?" I said. "Appendicitis. The doctor says it is urgent. There was a pause. Oh my God. Are you okay? I need you to come to the hospital. And we need to figure out how to pay for this. She said she would be there soon. Megan arrived about 2 hours later. I was lying in a hospital bed hooked up to an IV waiting for a surgery slot to open up. When she walked in, I expected to see concern on her face. Fear. Maybe even guilt. Instead, she looked annoyed. I was in the middle of helping Brittany with seating arrangements, she said, dropping her purse on a chair. What is going on? I explained the situation. Appendicitis. Surgery. The need to pay the deductible. Can you just put it on a credit card? She asked. That is not the point, I said, struggling to keep my voice calm. We had an emergency fund for exactly this situation. You spent it. Do not start this again. Brittany's wedding is in 2 weeks. I cannot deal with your drama right now. My drama? I stared at her in disbelief. I need surgery, Megan. This is a medical emergency. She sighed. The kind of sigh you make when someone is inconveniencing you. Can you not just wait a little? The wedding is in 2 weeks. After that, we can focus on your thing. Wait. The doctor said my appendix could rupture. And then she said the words that ended our marriage. Not the divorce papers. Not the lawyers. Those came later. It was these words, spoken in a hospital room, that killed whatever love I had left for her. You can wait. It is her special day. Do not be selfish. Time stopped. I looked at my wife, the woman I had loved for nearly a decade, and I saw a stranger. A stranger who thought my life was less important than a wedding. I did not respond. I could not. I just turned my head and stared at the ceiling. Her phone rang. She glanced at it and immediately stood up. Mom needs me. The caterer is having issues. I will check on you later. She did not kiss me goodbye. She did not squeeze my hand. She just grabbed her purse and walked out. I lay there alone, listening to the beeping of machines, feeling more isolated than I had ever felt in my entire life. That night, after the nurses dimmed the lights, I did not sleep. I lay awake, memories flooding through my mind. I thought about all the sacrifices I had made for Megan, the job offer in Seattle that I turned down because she wanted to stay near her family, the money I spent on her professional development courses, the weekends I gave up to help her parents with home repairs. I had always put her first, always put us first. And now when I needed her most, she told me to wait, because her sister's wedding was more important than my health, than my life. I picked up my phone and called Marcus. He is my best friend from high school. We grew up on the same street, played on the same basketball team, and stayed close even when life took us in different directions. Marcus became a lawyer, family law specifically. The irony was not lost on me. I told him everything. The emergency fund, the money disappearing, the hospital, Megan's words. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice heavy with something between anger and sadness. Todd, that is not a wife. That is a parasite wearing a wedding ring. I did not know what to say. You want my honest opinion? He continued. Get out. Now. Before she drains you completely. I do not know if I am ready for that. You are lying in a hospital bed needing surgery, and she chose a seating chart over you. What more do you need? I spent the rest of the night thinking. The pain in my abdomen throbbed, a constant reminder of my vulnerability. But it was the pain in my chest that kept me awake. The realization that I had been living a lie. That the woman I married did not love me. Maybe she never did. By morning, I had made my decision. I called Marcus back. I need you to draft divorce papers. I want them ready by tomorrow. Are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything. I signed the consent form for surgery and handed over my credit card to cover the deductible. I knew I would be paying interest on that debt for months. But money did not matter anymore. What mattered was taking back control of my life. As they wheeled me into the operating room, I felt a strange sense of peace. I was not just going in for surgery, I was going in to emerge as a different man, a man who would no longer tolerate being second place in his own marriage. I woke up from surgery to fluorescent lights and the steady beep of a heart monitor. Dr. Patterson was standing beside my bed, reviewing a chart. He told me the operation was successful. My appendix had been severely inflamed, close to rupturing. Another day of waiting, and things could have been much worse. I thanked him, my voice hoarse from the anesthesia. Then I asked the question that had been on my mind even in my drug-induced haze. "Has my wife been here?" The nurse checked with the front desk. No visitors had come for me. I checked my phone. There was one text message from Megan sent 4 hours after my surgery ended. "Glad the surgery went well. Super busy with wedding prep. We'll try to visit tomorrow." I read those words 3 times. Then I set my phone down and stared at the ceiling. Marcus arrived that afternoon. He walked in carrying his laptop bag and a folder thick with documents. He pulled a chair up to my bed and laid everything out. "I have got everything ready," he said. "Divorce petition, financial disclosure forms, and something else you might find interesting." He explained that because our emergency fund was a marital asset, Megan's unilateral decision to drain it without my consent could be classified as dissipation of marital assets. This would significantly impact how our property would be divided in the divorce. But there was more. Marcus had done some digging. He found that a portion of the money had been transferred directly into Linda's personal bank account. Megan had not just given money to Brittany. She had funneled our savings to her mother. The paper trail was clear. "This changes everything," Marcus said. "This is not just financial irresponsibility. This is potentially fraudulent transfer." I looked at the divorce papers. My name was already typed in. All I had to do was sign. I picked up the pen. For a moment, my hand hovered over the signature line. 5 years of marriage, dreams of children, plans for the future. All of it reduced to ink on paper. I signed my name. It felt like signing a permission slip to finally live my own life. Marcus filed the papers electronically that same day. The divorce petition included a request to freeze our joint assets pending the proceedings. Everything was now in motion. The next afternoon, Megan finally showed up. She walked into my hospital room carrying a bouquet of flowers, smiling like nothing had happened. "Hey, babe," she said. "How are you feeling?" "Sorry I could not come yesterday." The rehearsal dinner planning was insane. I watched her arrange the flowers on my bedside table, chattering about centerpieces and seating charts. She did not ask about my surgery. She did not ask about my pain level. She did not ask if I was scared or lonely or hurt. I reached under my pillow and pulled out the folder Marcus had left. "Megan," I said. She turned around, still smiling. I handed her the papers. Her smile faded as she flipped through the pages. Her face went pale. "What is this divorce papers?" "I filed this morning." She stared at me like I had spoken a foreign language. "You cannot be serious. We have been married for 5 years, 5 years of me giving everything I said, and you telling me to wait while I needed surgery." She started to cry. "I made a mistake. I will pay back the money. It is not about the money anymore. It is about the fact that I was lying here scared I might die, and you chose a seating chart." "Please," she begged. "Can we talk about this after the wedding?" "Just 2 more weeks." "That is exactly the problem," I said. "It is always about the wedding. Never about us. Never about me." "What do you want me to do? Cancel Brittany's wedding?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "I want you to leave. And I want you to know that I am done being second place in my own marriage." She gathered her things, tears streaming down her face. Before she walked out, she turned back. "You are going to regret this. The only thing I regret," I said, "is not doing this sooner." The door clicked shut behind her. What happened next was not something I planned. When Marcus filed the divorce petition, it triggered a freeze on our joint assets. This meant that all financial transactions related to our marital property were now under scrutiny. The money Megan had transferred the deposits made for the wedding, all of it was flagged. Megan panicked. She called her mother. Linda called me screaming. "How dare you ruin Brittany's wedding?" she shouted into the phone. "I did not ruin anything," I replied calmly. "Megan chose to steal from our emergency fund. Actions have consequences." "You are a monster. Brittany will be devastated. Brittany can have her wedding. She just cannot have it with my money." The fallout spread quickly. Derek the groom had apparently believed that Brittany's family was contributing to the wedding from their own savings. He had no idea the money came from his future sister-in-law's stolen emergency fund. When he found out, he was furious. He confronted Brittany. She broke down and admitted everything. She knew where the money came from. Megan had told her that I would never find out. That was the moment Derek started questioning everything. If Brittany could lie about this, what else was she hiding? The trust between them cracked wide open. The vendors started calling. They wanted the remaining payments. But with the asset freeze in place, there was no money to pay them. Linda and Gary tried to scrape together what they could, but it was not enough. 1 week before the scheduled wedding date, Derek announced that he wanted to postpone. He needed time to think about whether he still wanted to marry Brittany at all. The wedding was canceled. Brittany blamed Megan. Megan blamed me. Linda blamed everyone. The family that had pressured my wife into betraying me was now tearing itself apart. I simply stopped pretending that everything was okay when it was not. Recovery was slow, not just physically, but emotionally. After I was discharged from the hospital, I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. It was nothing special. 1 bedroom, basic kitchen, a view of a parking lot. But it was mine. The first few weeks were brutal. I would wake up in the middle of the night reaching for someone who was not there. I would catch myself thinking about calling Megan, then remember why I could not. There were moments when I questioned everything. Had I been too harsh? Had I overreacted? But then I would remember her words. "You can wait. It is her special day." And I knew I had made the right choice. Slowly, things began to change. I threw myself into work. My supervisor noticed my dedication and put me in charge of a new project. 6 months after my surgery, I was promoted. My salary increased. I started rebuilding my savings. Marcus remained my rock through all of it. We started playing basketball together again, just like in high school. He introduced me to his other friends, and my social circle expanded. I realized how isolated I had become during my marriage, how much of myself I had lost trying to please Megan and her family. I called my parents more often. I visited them for Thanksgiving for the first time in 3 years. My mother hugged me at the door and said something I will never forget. "I am proud of you for choosing yourself." Those words meant everything. About 8 months after the divorce was finalized, I walked into a coffee shop near my apartment. I was just looking for a quiet place to read. Instead, I found Harper. She was sitting at the corner table, red hair pulled back in a ponytail, completely absorbed in a thick novel. Something about her caught my attention. Maybe it was the way she smiled to herself as she read. Maybe it was the way she seemed entirely comfortable being alone. I ordered my coffee, and on impulse asked if the seat across from her was taken. She looked up surprised. Then she smiled. Not yet. We talked for 2 hours that day, and the next day, and the day after that. I told her about my divorce. I did not hide anything. She listened without judgment. When I finished, she reached across the table and took my hand. "You deserve someone who puts you first," she said. "I am learning that now," I replied. I am not rushing into anything. Harper understands that, and she is patient. For the first time in years, I feel like I am building something real, something honest. Looking back, I used to think the worst day of my life was when I discovered my emergency fund was empty. But now I realize that day was actually a gift. It showed me who my wife really was. It forced me to confront a marriage that had been dying long before I ended up in that hospital bed. I learned that no one has the right to tell you that your needs can wait. Your health, your safety, your happiness. These things matter. They are not selfish. They are essential. I learned that love is not just about words. It is about actions. Megan said she loved me, but when I needed her, she walked out the door to discuss seating charts. I learned that walking away is not the same as giving up. Sometimes leaving is the bravest thing you can do. It means choosing yourself when no one else will. And I learned that freedom does not come from revenge. I did not cancel that wedding out of spite. I simply stopped accepting treatment that I did not deserve. The consequences followed naturally. I do not hate Megan. I do not hate her family. I feel something closer to pity. They are still the same people, still making the same choices, still blaming everyone but themselves. But that is no longer my problem. My problem now is deciding what to do with the rest of my life. And for the first time, that feels like a beautiful problem to have. Sometimes the hardest part is not walking away. It is accepting that you should have walked away sooner. But here is the thing. It is never too late to choose yourself. If you are in a relationship where your needs always come last, maybe it is time to ask yourself one question. What are you really waiting for? Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where someone you loved made you feel like you did not matter? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more than you know. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next story. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we deserve better. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are worth more than waiting. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.